Hiya guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another Retro RPG. Because at the end of another week, the end of another poll, we've got a fantastic but slim win for Arcane Mysteries of Barsaive for Earthdawn. Always great to be going back to Earthdawn, one of my favourite RPGs. Now, we'll be looking at it on the desktop in a wee second, and as usual, I'll be back at the end of the video with some other channel-related stuff and some other poll-related stuff. But before I do that, I've got to ask you to do all the YouTube stuff. Please like, subscribe and comment below. It really helps the channel out. And especially with the comments, because I really appreciate everybody's comments and every interaction I have with you there. I've been asking for the last few weeks for suggestions of role-playing games, supplements and adventures to cover, and I especially would like adventures, because I've only had a couple of suggestions. And it'd be great for if you know of great adventures for some of the systems that I've covered, which I've not really covered adventures for. So 2300 AD, are there great traveller adventures out there which I should be looking at? Are there other vampire, werewolf, mage adventures? Because I covered Under a Blood Red Moon a few weeks ago, but I've never really covered anything else from White Wolf. So if you've got ideas about those, please put them in the comments below and let me have a look, and we can put them in the polls and see if people want to view them. Let's have a go at that. I've also got to say thank you to my Patreons, who are wonderful people who make all of this possible, so I'd really like to say thank you to them. Every single one of them is appreciated. But I have to ask, if you want to help support the channel, and I sure wish you would, or you'd like to see these videos a week early, or you'd like to see some subscriber specials we put up over on Patreon, then we've got Patreon in the description down below. If you check it out, it'd be very much appreciated. But anyway, let's get on and have a look at Arcane Mysteries of Barsaive. So, this is Arcane Mysteries of Barsaive, which came out for the Earthdawn role-playing game by FASA Corporation. It came out in 1997. Or at least that's when it was released, because if we go to the back here, we can see the copyright date, copyright 1997. But I'm wondering if they had it sitting almost complete for a while, just waiting for cover art. Because inside, it says copyright 1996. So I'm thinking they had all the text done, but they were just waiting for the artwork for the cover to finally release it. I don't know, that's just a guess. Anyway, this is a book of spells, of magical talents, of magic items. Because in the world of Earthdawn, magic is a lot more common than in many other fantasy worlds. The way it's worked is that the world has magic which comes and goes like a sine wave. Where Earthdawn is, they've just passed the peak of high magic. This is in the timeline where Shadowrun is a world later it, and it's just as magic is increasing again. So, magic has just passed its maximum levels, which unleashed spirits called horrors on the world. And to shelter from those, the name-giving races, the intelligent species, had to hide underground in fortified cares, basically dungeons. And they lived down there for about 100 years. And now the magic has gone back down, so they have emerged onto the surface once more. And it's kind of like Fallout, people coming out of their vaults and having to reclaim the surface world. Certain factions have had great advantage on that. But because the world is so magical, every character that you play, and many across the world, have access to magic. So even if you're playing somebody like a thief or a fighter, they have access to magic. So fighters will use magic to make their armor stronger, to make their cuts more deadly. Thieves will create small illusions to distract you while they pick your pockets. And of course you've got the larger spellcasting ones, so we've got wizards, illusionists, all of those in the world as well. So this is a book which is going into detail on a number of things. And one of the things I absolutely love in it is the talent knacks, I believe they're called. Talent knacks. And they add to the abilities, but we'll come on to that in a second. On the back cover, have I got a spell for you? Friends, Barsaivians, fellow adepts, hear now the virtues of the Arcane Mysteries of Barsaive. This book is a treasure trove of magical knowledge that sages of yore might have envied. New spells to make water burn, build yourself a palace in astral space, or even erase a horror mark. New talent knacks for every discipline, everything from sidestepping dangerous spells to fighting with 2 weapons at once, and descriptions of more magic items than a wizard could shake his staff at. Brooches that can sense magic, charms to resist poisons and disease, magical spears made of true elements that will cut down any enemy in your path, even the legendary magical sword Nightscar that can slay horrors and cast magical spells surpassing power. Forged the Legends of Tomorrow with the Arcane Mysteries of Barsaive, only a few silvers, a mere pittance. Patter attributed to Solan the Loquacious, wandering peddler of strange and curious artifacts. Arcane Mysteries of Barsaive is a rule supplement for Earthdawn. This book contains more than 200 new spells for the Elementalist, Illusionist, Nethermancer and Wizard disciplines, over 70 new talent knacks for all disciplines, and more than 60 new magical items from common items to legendary treasures. So that's what it's doing. It's kind of stretching out what's in the rules, but in a rather lovely way. Inside, well, FASA was great at publishing. Some very nice artwork in here, even this is just black and white. We have some fairly horrific art as well. They did like putting this darker edge to Earthdawn. A table of contents telling us we've got spells, talent hacks, magical items. And that's pretty much all that's going to be in here. We've got the introduction and spells. So optional rule for name spells, high circle spells. And then we've just got loads and loads of spells. So for Elementalists, we've got air armor, air mattress, billowing cloak, purify earth, fuel flame, grounding, thrive, going up through these circles, so basically levels in Earthdawn as you gain more power. Earthdawn being a strange one that you go up in circles, but you can spend your experience, so you can choose it to go up a level and get access to higher stuff, or you can spend it on getting lower level abilities and buying up your skills, so you can become powerful in many ways. So we've got Circle 9, Circle 11, we've got the Illusionist spells, Bellow of the Thunderous, Blazing Fists of Rage. Lots and lots of spells. Awaken, Nightmare of Foreboding. Switch, Astral Shadow. Memory Scribe. Dream Send. These really do seem quite evocative titles. We've got the Nethermancer, so Astral Spear, Spirit Dart, Gadfly, Shadow's Whisper, Arrow of Night, Dark Messenger. Whoever named these spells was having a lot of fun. I really do like the heading and footing of each page as well. It's almost Egyptian in style. Very artistic indeed. Shadow Hunter, Bone Puppet, Bone Walker, with a fairly nasty looking image of something made of bones there. Bone Pudding. Can only be used against targets that have bones. To cast a spell, Nethermancer must eat messy, gloppy substance such as pudding. Then make spellcasting test. If the spell succeeds, the target's shin, knee, and elbow bones turn to the same sludgy consistency of whatever the Nethermancer was eating. So turn somebody's bones to potteridge. Globe of Silence, Wall of Bones, Wither. Tempest Spirits we've got there. We're onto the wizard spells, bedazzling display of logical analysis, silent converse, triangulate. They really were reaching for the thesaurus when they're making up the titles of these. Bloodlost, lone spell, catch spell, spell snatcher. Just giving a lot of versatility to your spellcasting, your wizards. Then we've got talent knacks. Talents are the magical abilities that the adepts, the magical characters, the players have access to. Now, talents can be anything from being able to do thievery by distracting people with illusions, to tracking, to air sailing. Now, the talent knacks customize these by adding extra abilities. So air sailing allows you to sail one of the flying ships of Earthdawn, mainly used by the air sailors. The sort of orcs and trolls tend to be air sailors most, sky pirates. But air legs you would buy in on top of having the air sailing talent. It's a knack which gives you some extra abilities, and what it allows you to do is to use your air sailing to keep your balance on any flying ship. So they customize your abilities, allowing your character to do certain extra things. So Adept's Best Friend adding to tracking, where you can locate your mount, familiar, or animal companion. By the Fingernails for climbing. Allows you to make a last-minute grab for a handhold when you fail a climbing test. So these customize your abilities and allow you to do extra stuff. Headbutts, glides, flourish. Used by the Swordmaster for melee weapons. Allows you to dumbfound an opponent, making a flashy display of swordsmanship. Cutting his opponent's hair, picking a button off with a quick thrust, ripping a Z in the opponent's tunic, and so on, without doing actual harm. So you can frighten people with your swordplay instead of just being able to attack them. Improvised missiles, a lightning throw. I love this because it allows you to have all the talents that your class normally allows you. So you're playing a thief or a fighter or whatever, but then you can customize your character in so many ways by getting these on top and making your character so much more interesting. You know, your character is more individual because they've got things. Second Tail, Swordmaster to Scrang only. Second Tail Knack enables a Scrang Swordmaster to use a tail weapon as his second weapon without the standard penalties for using a tail attack. So they can use their tail in combat, you know, using it almost like a scorpion sting over their shoulder to slash at people. Whittle weapons, wound heal, wound share. Wound share enables a cavalryman adept to transfer a wound from his mount to himself. So you can take damage off your mounts if you're a cavalryman. Some lovely stuff in there. And then we're on to magical items. So common items, air elevator, bedroll of comfort, cleaning and broom. Because, as I said, everything in Earthdawn is magical. Even the most basic stuff. Although not every person in the world has the ability to use magic things, it will be quite common. You will get baker adepts who will weave magic into their foodstuffs to make it more nourishing and healing. And stuff like that. It's a really fantastic world where magic has entered every aspect of life. And likewise, it's entered all the bad aspects, because horrors exist. These incredibly powerful magical creatures which can tear reality apart and tear people's minds apart. We've got blood charms here. Blood tattoos. Forest robes, different thread items. One of the elements of Earthdawn is that magic items often need threads tied to them. So you will tie your soul and your innate magical power to the magic item to power it. However, that creates a link between you and that magic item, which means if it gets lost without you destroying the thread first, it can be used to attack you. Somebody casting a spell on the item is like they're casting a spell on you, so you can be damaged from afar if you lose one of your thread items. Very, very interesting ideas. Threaded instruments, a wyvern skin robe, blade of the Alanvor, blood war, dragon mail, just lots of magical items, and because they are tied to your power, they have ranks. So your thread ranks, as you connect to them, they get more and more powerful along with you. You have to spend experience, you have to tie your life force into them to power up these abilities. Up at rank 7, this Ice Blade of Omifan. Sword does will force plus 11 cold damage at a cost of 1 strain point. Sword spell matrix rises to rank 7. So you can store spells in it. We've got Nightscar. It's 5th level 1. You can wound a horror in combat. This deed is worth 1/10 of the horror's legend point value, in addition to any legend points gained if the wielder slays the horror. So you can do fantastic things with the weapons. Scarab of Illithor. Staff of Vila, Sword of Finetheri. And this makes them far more interesting than just, oh, I get a +1 sword. Or I get a +1 sword of vampire slaying +2. You've got all these threads. So it's not just a matter of getting the magical item. It's how much you're willing to invest in that magical item, spending your experience to tie your life force, and potentially be disadvantaged because you can only tie so many threads. So you might be discarding the idea of getting a more powerful magical item later, unless you go through the rituals to get rid of the threads, to cast the item aside. True Fang. We've got Grimoires, the Book of Mysteries, the Chain of Skulls, the Gems of Jorel, and the Nightmare Grimoire. We've got a table of all the spells, with basic descriptions, their effects, their cost, their difficulties to use. A very handy thing to have indeed. Lots of pages of that. Shaman spells, magical items table, and then, as FASA kind of did at the end, they would have a fin page saying that's the end of the book. Usually most other publishers would just put an advert there. I'm not quite sure why they would do that, but it's kind of nice. So that's Arcane Mysteries of Barsaive. It's really, really nice to have for Earthdawn. We've got the talent knacks, which add to every single class. We've got loads of magical items, which are always nice to have. And we've got a bunch of spells for the spellcasting classes. Some great stuff in there, very handy to have indeed. So, that was Arcane Mysteries of Barsaive, and that won the poll this week with some 28% of the vote, only narrowly ahead of Fading Sun's D20, which came in on 27%. Now, that was shooting up because it was lagging behind, because for a portion of the week was the now third position, Last Crusaders for Deadlands, Hell on Earth, which came in on 25%. But as I said, it was winning at one point. It was a surprise when Arcane Mysteries overtook it. I was overjoyed because I really do love Earthdawn, but I love all of these. So it would have been fabulous to look at any of them. But it was a surprise when it got overtaken by Arcane Mysteries, and then Fading Suns was shooting up. Sadly, World Book 15 Spirit West for Rifts, which came in on 20%, was never in the leading position at all, and Rifts books are always worth a look. But sadly not this time. It's on my shelf, so we will be coming back to it, but probably some future time, because I've still got lots of other Rifts ones I can put in the poll, and see if we want to have a look through those first. Anyway, they're all wiped out the poll, and we're going back to a Retro Adventures one. Now, three of the options here, Vulture Warriors of Dimension X for Paranoia, Perfect Warrior for Street Fighter RPG, and the Key of Deliriad for Slay Industries, have been in the poll quite a bit. And they've never been successful. They're all worthwhile ones. I would love to look through them all. Paranoia, some great humour in there. It would be great to look through. The Perfect Warrior, Street Fighter was an amazingly different RPG from White Wolf, the same people who brought us Vampire and Werewolf, but an action-paced, sort of lighter game. It'd be a lot of fun to look through that. And Slay Industries, Key of Deliriad, it's by my local game company. They started off like 20 miles away in the town I went to university at. And it'd be lovely to look through something from my culture, from Scotland. But they've never been successful. Now, I've been steering clear of doing Dungeons & Dragons adventures because I've been doing all the videos on the different rule sets. We've been doing all the videos on the different campaign settings. I don't want to overload the channel with Dungeons & Dragons, but I realised it's been over 6 months since I did the last part of the D series of modules. Now, I'd worked my way through all the G series, the Against the Giants series, and we'd gone into the depths of the earth, I think that's the name of it, and covered that over 6 months ago now. So it'd be nice to go on to the next part, and that's the final option in the poll, which I think will do well because Dungeons & Dragons do tend to do a lot better. But remember, all those options are great. So we've got the Shrine of the Kuatoa for Dungeons & Dragons, came out with TSR in 1978. Some Gary Gygax loveliness in there. I've heard some wonderful things, but it'd be great to look through it if it wins. But I would be overjoyed to have a look at Slay Industries, Paranoia, or Street Fighter if any of those win. It'd be absolutely fantastic. But it's in your hands now. You make the decision. What else have I been up to? Well, over on rpggamer.org, I'm working my way through the Vision series. I've finished reviewing all the episodes at time of recording. I did the last episode this morning, which was a very arty episode, which I didn't quite get. But now I'm going to be going through them doing stats. And because these are outside the usual Star Wars timeline, they're very imaginative. There's loads and loads of things to cover. So it's going to take me several days probably to do a number of the episodes, especially this first one, because there's absolutely tons of it. Different types of lightsabers, vehicles, etc, etc. Tons of stuff to cover. So I will do all that before moving my way on, and it'll take us a few weeks to get through Visions. So if you're interested in seeing some kind of whacked out crazy stats for the Star Wars D6 system, the old West End Games one, or you want to see what I've got to say about the Visions episodes, see if your ideas match up, especially in this final episode, which is so much more up to your opinion, what goes on. And what I thought went on might not be what you thought. So if you want to see that and comment and let me know what your thoughts were, that'd be amazing. Check us out over on rpggamer.org. But as usual, I've been wittering on for quite long enough. And thank you very much to the person who put the comment on that saying that I never witter for long enough. That was a really touching comment and hugely appreciated. But I have been wittering on for quite long enough, so thank you very much for watching. And as always, most of all, you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.